What's going on, people? Welcome back to another splendiferous, rendiculous, rendimacious episode of Talks.
That boy just used like 6 new words.
I've made it all up, but hopefully the energy was transferred.
It will definitely transfer.
How are you guys doing today? How are we feeling on this wonderful day?
As my good friend to my right always says, splendiferous.
I
I like that. Yeah,
Wonderful.
definitely doing well. It's been a good week. Then a lot of positive things have happened. If you've been watching for a while, you know I've been trying to get rid of a CCJ that shouldn't even been on my name, and yeah, we got told that's getting removed on Monday, so that's good. That was a good hit. It's nice to see that happen. Like, long process, spent quite a bit of money trying to sort it out, and finally got that sorted out. So
That's fantastic news.
amazing.
Brilliant week.
Yeah.
E, how are we doing?
Yeah, I've had a very, 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 very good week. Very fortunate week. Things that I will not reveal today, but I'll reveal in next week's episode.
Mystery. Yeah.
I can't complain. Things are going well. We're busy, but busy is good right now.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm feeling fantastic. I can't lie. I'm feeling absolutely splendiferous, as I said at the top of the show. It's a good time. We have all been experiencing some really good things recently, and even more people in our further extended circles have been going through some really cool things.
Very true.
And some opportunities are presenting themselves to all of us. And to see these things come to pass, it takes me back to a conversation we had a long time ago about the aggregation of marginal gains and the slow build-up of hard work and building good habits and building positivity and positive energy around you. And I think we're all seeing the results of that. We're seeing the breaking point where slowly that pressure began to build, and now it's all exploding in a cacophony of good times and good energy. So I am also feeling that wave and feeling that energy. Now, today's episode is on leadership. I have seen all three of us receive good leadership, be good leaders, and speak about leadership in our own lives and through sports and other things. So we're going to discuss it here today because it'd be great to understand, especially I'd love to pick you guys' brains just on what leadership is for you, because you're both incredible leaders. You both also lead in incredibly different ways, and I think so do I. So it'd be great for us to talk about what good leadership is for us, but then also examples of when we've experienced great leadership or when we think we've been great leaders. Mm-hmm. So please, if there's anybody who'd like to kick us off, let me know.
I'll start off, I don't mind.
Go for it.
Yes. Leadership, I think there's so many different aspects that when it comes to a good leader, but I think one of them is definitely showing the boundaries of respect.
Yeah,
I think
it's true.
You can actually say every leader has respect. That's why they are pretty much a leader. Like, you have your team, your squad, your group, whoever it is around you that shows you respect to become a good leader. Obviously, you can be a leader and not have the respect, but a good leader, you always have the respect from your peer operatives.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, I've got a question for you, baby.
Yeah.
So I know a little bit about your job, but part of your job involves leading a group of people.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy about having that role? And what skills would you say, or techniques would you say that you use in this job situation?
You know, it's funny you say that, because today on my Snapchat I put up a video because I had obviously the last couple of days off, and I went back to work today, and it's not my company, completely different company, right? But they had a group of, say, of 20, 30 people around, and they have their talk in the morning. What it's called, it's a safety briefing. So you have a talk, it's called set safe to work, so everyone goes off to work safely. Now, a supervisor was basically having it out with one of the workers.
Okay.
But it never needed to happen.
No.
Like, it didn't have to happen in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And they're lashing out. And what I said on my Snapchat, I said, imagine going to work, it's 7:30 in the morning, and you're getting grilled. It's like, your day's already started on a negative.
Yeah.
And for me, I said, that's not great leadership.
No.
I said, for my group, if I had a problem or a situation where someone in my pack basically did something wrong, or I need to get information out of them, and I know it might get a bit heated, I'll take it away from the group. Set everyone to work, say, can you just stay back for a sec, just want to talk about something. Then you both can talk it out. Then if it gets a bit heated or it gets a bit loud, there's not a whole scene made from it. So then you can kind of control the actual environment that you're in. So for me, when it comes to the leadership, especially with my group of people, I never look at anyone different. When I mean like that, just because I'm a leader in my group, I still say we all work in the same vicinity. If I don't do my job, you can't do your job. If I don't help you to do your job becomes harder.
Yeah.
So I try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt when it comes to when they need help, if they need something from me, or it's a case of they just are lost at what they're doing, and I try to give them information to help them do their job instead of just setting them off to work. Like I said, at a safety briefing, some people don't say nothing. Some people won't say the place that you're working today, you can't go and work in.
Yeah.
And that person gets all their tools, goes to that level, realizes that I can't work here. Now where do I go?
Yeah.
Now where do I need to take all my tools? Now that person there now gets hostile against their leader because you're supposed to tell me that I can't work there. And you didn't tell me that. So yeah, for me, it's just giving them the understanding and showing them you care for them to help them out as much as you can.
And you know what? An example I have of that setting boundaries thing that you first spoke about. It's weird how sometimes the brain works and picks things up. The second you mentioned setting boundaries, I was like, damn. I remember a teacher of mine in year 10.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I've ever been taught by this teacher. His name was Mr. Cabot.
Okay.
And he was famous for chasing down kids who were truanting, who were like just doing something else during classes, right?
Yeah. Chasing down.
He's rapid. He was the fastest teacher I've ever seen in my life. He could have been a superhero. Yeah. And you would just see him, every now and then you'd look out the window at school and you'd just see him running down some field, catching a kid who was who was maybe smoking or whatever, during class. And so we, always seeing Mr. Cabot as this authoritarian kind of figure, very, very stern in how they set their boundaries. And so the first lesson we had with Mr. Cabot, and we were the top set of maths, and so I was excited, I was never an academic, so to be top set anything always brought me joy. Yeah. And so we all go in, we get let into the class. We line up outside first of all, and it's the first time I've ever lined up outside a class since I was in primary school, right? So I was like, it feels a little bit regimented, but whatever. And we go in and we all just start talking. And he says, right, get back out. And everyone's like, what? What do you mean? We're not supposed to be learning? And we all went back out and we lined up and we went back in and we sat down and we were talking. He's like, right, get back out. We were like, what is this guy on? We've gone in and out of this classroom twice now. Yeah. What is this? And then the next time we all go in, and people aren't really sure what to do, and so they're just kind of standing around. And he's like, right, so you got the first thing right, you lined up outside. The second thing that you always have to do before we get to work is stand behind your chair and be silent. And we were like, this is weird. This is really weird. Yeah. But then what it did, as time went on, we all knew what was going on. And it brought us together. It unified us. It felt very, at the time, military. It felt incredibly military. And whatever you have the opinions of in the military, one thing they're very good at is creating uniformity. And the second we had that connection and that boundary, and we knew where his boundaries were and what he wanted to do, then came the banter. So it started at the beginning of the year getting taken in and out of a class 3-4 times before you knew what you're doing, to by the end of the year, we were watching the World Cup. We were watching the South Africa World Cup, and everybody was having a good time sitting on tables talking about the game. Yeah. And so he set the boundaries from early. He said, this is what I expect. Come in with respect, come in with composure, come in with control, and we can set a positive standard from that line. So yeah, that leadership aspect of setting a boundary and being stern with it and holding that line so everybody knows where they stand, I think sometimes can be pivotal in starting off a relationship, a working relationship well, or just starting off a day right.
Oh yeah, of course. Like it's the whole, I get the whole boundary thing, because you can be a leader and still be like a friend to that person, but you need to set the boundary. Say, listen, I'm still your boss. Yeah. I'm still
a big dog.
Leader. Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes that boundary's not set, and then that's how friendships are broken, because you try to mix the friendship with the actual leadership.
Yeah, it's true.
And like, I think both of you touched on, by setting that boundary, you set that expectation, but you also ensure that everyone knows that they're going to be treated equally in line with this boundary.
Yeah, it's true. When everybody comes in, lines up and stands up behind their chair, ain't nobody different. Everybody's the same. And that's a good starting point, right? If you level the playing field immediately. Yeah. So I like that a lot. Have you guys got any examples of times when somebody has laid down the law? Like somebody stepped out of line and then they've laid down the law? Because I've got one and it's funny. It's not, you know what? It's not even laying down the law. It's one of it was definitely being like, listen to me. And the other one was like, I need you to do this. And I'm going to tell you in the quickest way possible because time is pressing. You might even remember this. This was before the final. This was the Wednesday's practice. London Warriors, junior American football. Before the final. We got through to the final. We'd had some crazy games. We beat our rivals, the boys who wear blue, in a rainy game, which you actually came to. You came to that semi-final. at Boston Manor all those years
yeah,
ago.
A while ago.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So we'd had a great season. We'd gone undefeated. So it was an incredible season. And for some reason, I don't know why, but the practice before the final, I'd got into this habit of when I'd get the ball, I would slap it before I'd throw it.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I think I remember you doing that.
Yeah. And I started to slap it before. I was like, what is... I didn't really think of it as a thing. I was like, okay, cool, it's whatever. It's a quirk. And our head coach, Coach G, said, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know, I'm just having the ball. He was like, all right, do it again, go again, take another rep. I got the ball and just for I slapped it. And he was like, right, stop. And in front of 40 other people who I was a captain of, who I was a leader of, right, he said, if you do that one more time, guess what else you're going to be doing? I was like, what? And he literally went from standing up to sitting down, as if to signify that I'd be sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
We didn't even have another quarterback at the time. He was like, you're going to be benched if you do that one more time. I never slapped the football again in my life. To this day, I don't slap the football. To the point where, as a coach, I coach other quarterbacks to never slap the ball. It wastes time. It takes you out of your central throwing point. And so that was one, he laid down the law because he was like, look, you need to listen to me. Even though you're the captain of these players and you're one of the leaders of this team, you need to listen to me. And two, we are 4 or 5 days away from a national championship.
Yeah.
I need to fix this now. And it was, at the time, it felt very strong, but it got through to me.
Yeah.
And so that is a sign of good leadership, good coaching, and understanding, because we built that up over a year's worth of coaching and training together, that he knew he could coach me in that way and be a leader in that way, and that I would respond to it. So that's one example I would say.
Yeah, and I can go back off that example as well, to say, same kind of times with Coach G again, is that I remember we was playing at the Blitz, we were losing, and I remember I was going back on defense, and he said, "Go get me the ball."
Yes.
And I've actually got the picture. I remember, so I don't know who caught it, but all I remember is that we went on, and I think I was about to tackle the guy that had the ball, but someone hit him first, and I saw the ball coming out, and I remember I just jumped and dived on it. And I think we're down by like 2 touchdowns, but I remember the joy I got because he looked like my coach, my leader, just told me, "Go get the ball," and I did it the very next play. And that's the whole thing, is that he set something up, but because he's a good leader, I was happy that I was managed to do something that he asked me to do.
Yeah.
And I remember it was mad, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've also had the pleasure of being coached by Coach G, but I want to know, because you two have had so much more experience with him and so much more time with him, what do you think the qualities of his leadership style are that made you believe in him? Because you guys have clearly bought into almost every word that he says, and we'll go and get it. And I can see that switch just flick. If he asks you to do something, it's an instant, yes, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
What does he do to make you do that?
First thing,
Go for it.
he's like 6'5", right? And he's got a very deep voice and he's very big. Yeah. So that's one thing, do you know what I mean? He is physically a presence that you got to listen to.
Yeah.
But for me, and what really stood out for me is he takes you through the process. Like, he always spoke to me about the process of leadership. He always spoke to me about what was going on in his mind to why he was speaking to the team like this or speaking to me like this. So there was a point where we were in practice, we were running through some plays, and it wasn't going great for the offense. And he called me over, and I had my head down. And no, I wasn't necessarily upset. I just had my head down for some reason. And he was like, look, I'm going to teach you how to be a leader right now. And then spoke to me about how I should never, ever, ever have my head down. Regardless of the situation, body language is so important when people are looking at you for leadership, right? Yeah. And it was that point where he broke down in a very simple way, this is what you need to do, and this is why you need to do it, and this is why I'm telling you. So he always took me along the journey. He always said, I would never speak to you in a way that I would never speak to myself. I would never coach you in a way that I'm not coaching myself. Yes. And that was so important to understand why so many coaches, especially in American football and other sports like that, are just on you, and you need to know why. You need to understand what's going on. Otherwise, sometimes like, why are you having a go? Like, I don't know what's going on here. Yeah. We're doing things at different speeds. You need to take me through it. And he would always take me through not only how to become a better player, but how to become a better leader and the process for that.
I'm going to back on that, like you said, with other coaches. So the one thing I wouldn't say just Jerry, and I'm going to say Coach G, TA, and Marv, I would say, they all do the thing like you said, a lot of coaches just get on you. Now, the thing I've noticed about Jerry and TA more than Marv is that they know what tone to set. Yeah. So, for instance, Coach G and TA can sit and have a nice conversation with you, calm, whatever. then they know how to turn up the conversation slightly. They know okay, now you need to really think about this.
Yeah.
Or you need to turn up. Or like when it comes to game situation, they know we need to be here. But then they realise they know what the energy in the room is and they know how to attack it the right way. That's how I find how they speak. So like to the point when they know when to have a conversation with you to when they have a conversation with 10 people. Because the way they talk to one person is not the same as they talk to 10 people, where a coach will get at his whole, say, positional group, where they know how to say, well, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like they get to the point where like you got new kids into the same group, where that coach will just be drilling them all the same, and I always see like T.O. James goes, yeah, but that kid's not even played one snap of football yet.
Yeah.
How are you trying to get him to do everything?
Yeah.
It's those little details that I've always noticed they pick up on and then address it very quickly. And it's not the thing of they pick that up and then shout at someone. They pick up and goes, well, why would you do that?
That actually reminds me, and after this bit, we're going to go into FABZ 5 minutes of food, because we are rolling. But just after that,
okay.
So there's a book called The Minute Manager, and the first part of it is understanding how to manage people at a basic level.
Yeah.
And the quote from that initial chapter is, different strokes for different folks at different times. Yeah. And that's kind of what you just got onto there. You coach people differently based on their learning types, based on their energy, but also you coach people differently based on who they are, but also when you're coaching them. So someone could come in and it's the start of the week and they've had a really great weekend. Yeah. And you can be high energy, you can be bouncy. They might have then had a really rough week, and by the way that you coach and lead them by the end of the week is a completely different process. You're like, right, I know we've all had a tough time this week, it's been tough for us, whatever. This is how we're going to do it, and you maybe need to break it down, slow it down, and be a bit more simple. Yeah. I think that's one thing that you mentioned the coaches do really, really well as far as Coach G and TA. And I think I find that with most leaders is they know how to vary their style of leadership, their style of mentorship and teaching based on who they're talking to and when they're talking to them.
And just before we move on there, it's like another big one is Coach Ads.
Oh yeah.
Coach Ads, like obviously he just got a big shout out on NFL UK, but I remember like with him, he was one of the coaches where you had to unlock his niceness. Nicest guy ever, right?
Yeah.
But actually nicest guy. But I remember when he was coaching me, I didn't get that yet.
Yeah.
Because he was like, it was just my first like coming up to the scenes, and he'd be like to me, I thought you played every snap of the junior ball. I thought you played both ways. Let me see something. But the rest of the linebacker group, no, they're cool. Just do what you're doing. Like you got his respect already. But it's like you had to earn his respect, and it wasn't even in a way of a case of like he was disrespecting me. He was just showing me you're at another level now.
Yeah, reach it.
Yeah.
And
great thing. But I don't want to go into much into it.
Yeah. We'll definitely talk more about Coach Ads in a future pod for sure, because that is a man and a coach that we could talk about for hours and hours and hours. Especially as it just was on Hard Knocks and all of this, and it's only rising, right? Yeah. And maybe one day we'll get Coach Ads on the pod. That would be an exciting time. Jeez. So, Fabian's 5 minutes of food. Today's question for Fabian's 5 minutes of food. This is going to be a very interesting one to hear from you, Fabes, and Ethan. I would love to hear yours because I've seen recently how you operate in this space. So it'd be nice to hear where your mind goes. So the question is, what is your post-game celebration meal? So whether it's an American football game, whether it's after a 20k run cross country, whether it's whatever you've just done, whatever physical activity you've just done, you got the win. What is your post-game, your post-match, your post-race celebration meal? What does that look like?
So I'm gonna go back. Go on. You ready?
Yeah.
You sure?
I can go.
Oh, you go, bro.
So for me, I'm gonna kind of extend it to, it's like I often have it as like a return meal as well. So when I used to go away on scout camp, I used to always ask for this when I would come back on the Sunday or whichever day I'd come back. And it's kind of similar, like you're going away for a bit of time to go and play this sport or do something. And a lot of the sport that I played would be on a Saturday or a Sunday. And football's on Sunday, you'd come back after a long, wet day. And the food that I would ask for almost consistently was a roast. But specifically like a roasted lamb, something with lots of like protein, lots of carbohydrates, lots of vegetables, lots of gravy, something that you can overindulge in and really enjoy. So we'd do this roast lamb, we'd have a bit of gravy, we'd have the mint sauce, we'd have the like roast potatoes that have been roasted in duck fat, so they are just fluffy and crispy and delicious. With beans or broccoli or honey roasted parsnips and carrots, and you can just look at this whole plate and just feel satisfied. You know that you're going to be sitting down for the next 2 hours eating this food and just relax on the sofa. Your day's done, and you've got that victory because you know we only take dubs on this podcast.
We only take dubs on this podcast,
Come on,
baby.
come on. I'm just gonna touch on that. Like that brings me back to actually, like, you know, first playing American football and going home and mum, like she knew I'd have a game. And without fail, I wouldn't have to call mum or anything. I know I'll come home, mum's cooking a roast.
Yeah.
Like every Sunday, I know roast is there. It's been done, and I think even like back then, I used to go do the shopping on like a Saturday. So mum would send me with a list. I'll go Tesco's, Lucian, jump on the bus back 4 or 5 bags, and take it home. And it was always a big thing coming home on a Sunday after you play the game, eating food, watching the Channel 5 movie. That was always my way to chill out on a Sunday. And for me, like, it's still the same kind of thing, but one I had recently, and it was the one probably, obviously, last game of the season. Had a couple of the boys around, and we went to. I had a couple of T-bone steaks that I got from Costco. Did them on the barbecue. Had that fresh broccoli with it, and it wasn't even like it was a big meal.
Yeah.
But it was all just like little bits. So we had bits of steak, we had the olives, we had the hummus, we had the pita bread, and it was just all fresh food. And I think for me, after a big game like that, I just want freshness. Like as a kid, it was always like pizza, KFC, everything, whatever. Like, you know, if you're on a long trip. But now, for me, it's that freshly barbecued meat or chicken, and then fresh veg, like just like lightly buttered, and then, like I said, having your little side bits like the olives and the hummus, side salad. That stuff drive me crazy.
Love that.
Yeah, so that'll be my kind of after game meal.
Yeah, I like that. See, for me, I'm funny enough, I'm going back to the roast meal. I'm going back to that roast Sunday dinner. Same, my mum would always cook me up a roast dinner. It's funny how we've all come across this. She would always either have a sugary drink or a super malt. Shout out to Super Malt, sponsor me. I would always have one of those, get the blood sugar back up, and then have a roast chicken with gravy, Yorkshire puddings. Mum's roast potatoes were the best I've ever had. Stuffing, it's all just splendid, right? And it's hearty, warm food. Playing in the winter as well is a great time to just fill yourself up with the warm goodness. So that's what it would be for me.
I'm going to say, like, just like clarifying, obviously this is obviously 5 minutes of food. One thing about a roast I always notice is that it brings family together.
Oh, yeah.
Like, no one doesn't, like, I'll say, well, not many people have, like, that kind of roast by yourself. When you think about when you've had a roast, it's always with family. Or you've gone to a friend's and you've had that roast with their family. And I thought roast dinners is always a good way to bring, like, close ones together.
Yeah, it's true.
I feel that's why I actually love it so much.
Yeah, it's a connector for sure. Okay, so now we've spoken a little bit about what good leadership looks like to us externally, and we've also spoken about kind of how we would deal with a certain situation. Is there any examples that you two would have of when you feel you've stepped up to the plate as a leader? Because I've seen both of you be fantastic leaders.
I know what I'm talking about.
First of all, we were co-captains on that team that won the national championship, so you can't even say nothing. But I would love to hear your experience. And it's not so much tooting your own horn, but it's more understanding what you needed to be for your team and for your whoever you were around in that moment, and taking that step to say, I got this, I've got us covered. Oh, I see Ethan's brain. Ethan's brain is ready.
Do you want A or B?
Oh, B, because it's in your name.
Okay, so
see these guys?
So I'm going to take this back to Scouts. I was at Scouts. And one part of Scouts was competitions. And I'm going to speak on actually a few different examples within Scouts where I was either asked to or I knew that I had to step up to the plate and be a leader in order to kind of achieve some form of success. So part of Scouts involved competitions. And I remember, particularly when I was really young, this was maybe when I was 11 or 12, we used to do a sports day. And I said, I'll come down to the sports day. These are the 2, 3, 4 sports that I was good at. I could do everything, but those are the ones I was really invested in. And when I got there was me and 3 other kids, and it was split into junior and senior. These other kids were all senior. So I was the only junior kid that got there early enough to do all of the events. So I knew instantly. I was like, or I don't want my team to lose any points because no one has entered. I'm going to enter into all of these events. So that day I did shot put, long jump, high jump, 800 meters, 400 meters, 200 meters, 100 meters, relay, obstacle, drag race. Because even if you participated, you got a point. And by the time everyone else came to show up, I'd already came first, second, or third in at least 3 or 4 of the races. So we were in a really good spot. And that was the first time I showed up. And we won that sports day. And I pat myself on the back for stepping up in that moment.
Too right.
Another one was we used to play. We had football tournaments, and we would go between either choosing one really good team and one other team that could do well, to choosing kind of 2 equal teams. And this year I showed up a bit later, and there was one clearly dominant, strong team that had all of the older kids on. But I was like, I play football. I do this on a daily basis.
Do this!
And there was another kid that I used to go to school with, so we used to play football together.
Yeah.
And I said, like, I can't believe they put me on the bad team because I'm not a bad player. I'm one of the best players here. And we ran through that whole tournament, me and this guy with the connection, and ended up winning because we understood how to use our team for success. We had one kid who wasn't very agile, so we put this kid in goal, and he was a shot blocker. He was always in the right position. We knew how to cut down the angles so that he only had to deal with the ball coming directly at him. We knew that people weren't potentially very physical, so we'd say, just as soon as you get the ball, pass it. We can outrun all of these players because we're light on our feet, we're quick, and we can get the job done. And granted, we weren't the best team on that field, but we played like the best because we combined together. We came together as a team. I'm gonna pass on to Fabian now.
I like that.
Okay. I'm gonna stay away from rugby because I definitely can go back to that. So what I'm gonna go back to is Duke of Edinburgh, and I think it was being a part of a team and leading that team from A to B, because not everyone was comfortable reading a map and a compass back then.
Yeah.
And I remember my good friend Carlos, and I remember one time he was going straight, he was walking down the path, and I'm looking at the map and I'm like, listen, if we cut through these woods here, it's going to take us round because the path goes all the way around.
Yeah.
And he's like, I said, it's going to cut time down. He goes, are you sure, Fabian? Are you sure? I said, listen, bro, you know I've got this. Like, you know, I'm not telling him, like, you know, I know where I'm going, innit? He goes, okay, let's just do it. And I think the rest of the group just followed me and we went through it. And it's a bit more of a crazy terrain, but we go through it. And we came back to the path and said, look, we're here now. And he's like, what? I said, yeah. So we done that. And that, for me, it was getting us, because it wasn't like it was just a small hike. It was obviously quite a distance hike for that day, and it was getting us from where they dropped us off to camp, and me seeing that all the team get relaxed and seeing that we got there, and like days where we're the first team there saying like, you know, Fabian, thank you, because really you're all supposed to have a chance at reading the map, but more time I'll let someone else look, and I'll just double check and go, yeah, you're good, and we'll go. So yeah, for me, I think that was a big leadership, because at that age as well, we're talking like 10, 9, around that kind of time. And it's like, you know, at that age, you never really think about reading the map. And nowadays, no one doesn't really read a map. I've seen people using Google Maps on their phone and still getting lost. And then and I'm in my head thinking like, I'm so glad I took those kind of steps as a kid, because now I know a sense of direction. Yeah. So yeah, doing that was great.
I think there's one thing in there that I really want to highlight as well. In that you said you would allow other people to read the map, even though you were the map reader, the person that was leading this. You enabled other people to see what you're doing, to see your process, so that they bought into it. They bought into you. They said, you know what, Fabian knows where he's going because I've had this opportunity to look, and he knows that. He knows within himself that he has the knowledge to lead us and take us in the right direction enough that we can come in and check that, because he is the leader, and I really like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Lead from the front. I like it, and both of you have shown points where you've just held the weight on your shoulders and they're just like, I can carry this. It's not heavy. The responsibility is light.
Cool. I've got a question, and I don't know if you had another question.
No, hit me.
So, I think that, and particularly so with you two, you are what people would classify as very natural leaders. And this is not to take away essentially for any of the work that you've done to step into a role of leadership. What would you say is the best way to get started and become leaders?
For me, coming into I've got kind of 2 examples. Coming into American football, I have always been the smallest person on the team, whether it was in juniors, youth, seniors. I've always been one of the smallest people on the team. I've always been maybe some of the slowest people on the team, right? I athletically don't reach the same levels as a lot of members of my team, and so I know from the jump I got to be that person. I've got to lead from a mentality standpoint, and so the first thing I would say is surround yourself with what good leadership and a good mentality and a good mindset look like. Whether it's looking at highlights of this thing that you're trying to master on YouTube, whether it's reading books like The Minute Manager, How to Win Friends and Influence People, to the point where I had a notebook which just had pictures of people who I thought were incredible leaders. I would look at Barack Obama doing speeches and be like, how can I take how this man speaks and take it into how I speak? Ray Lewis, the list goes on. I would surround myself with what leadership or what is perceived to be good leadership is, and I would try to embody that. I would surround myself in that. And the second thing I would say is, don't be anybody you're not. Right? So take those things that you want and add them to your personality, but don't force yourself into a leadership style that you're not, right? So you mentioned someone called Marv, Coach Marv, right? Coach Marv is intense. He is fiery. He is punchy. He is sometimes loud, sometimes very quiet. He is sharp. I am not a lot of those things, and I would never try that kind of leadership. I never tried that kind of coaching, and so I would take some things. There are some times where Coach Marv will pull someone to the side and take them through step by step what he's talking about. I might pick that up because that fits really well with my leadership style. So I will. It's kind of creating a collage, of different leadership styles to make my own, right? So that is what I would say.
For me, I'd say, I was trying not to say for me there, but yeah. Yeah, it's more your why. Why do you want to be a leader? What is the reason you want to actually be a leader? Why do you want to lead people? What is it you want people to embrace you from being a leader? It's like my thing, if you see after episode, I always talk about patience. And great leadership is over patience. Like great triumphs come over patience. Nothing comes very quickly. And the reason, like I'd say, I wanted to become a leader, or I wanted to get into like the more of a leadership role, or give advice, or show people different ways, is because, like I said, I've been to jail, so I've seen different sides of life. I've seen life at its very lowest for some people. Like I've seen people inside that don't have people on the outside to, send them money so they can buy extra food, so their rooms look cleaner, so they can even buy soap to clean. Like, yes, you get certain things, but it's just a bar of soap. But instead of getting like bar soap, you can get like mint soap or whatever, to like, so you feel a little bit more like even loved, should I say? And some people, I think, will find that yes, loads of people have been inside, but a lot of people come back out and do exactly the same thing they went in for. And the whole reason I'm taking this longer journey to do things to get to places where I want to be is to show the younger people and even the older people that yes, things take time, but over the longer that time or duration it's taking you, it builds up for more success, because the people that you stayed around that continue to do the same thing, they don't continue to level up. It's like I always say to people, I said, if you're a dealer, how long do you want to deal for? Because what is the out game? What is the out number? How do you realistically get to that number? And is it realistic to get to that number? Because you think you're earning all that money, but yet the person in McDonald's is earning just the same as you, but saving a lot more, and they can do more with their money.
You know what? I want to piggyback off of that before we jump over to E, and that is funny. I'm trying to get through Atomic Habits right here on here. It's one of the books.
Atomic Habits.
One of the entries into our book club. Yes, sir. And I just got to a point.
Audible sponsor us.
For real, sponsor us. So I literally just got through a point today, literally 2 hours ago, where they talk about don't look at your current results, look at your current trajectory.
Exactly.
What is your trajectory? Are you going up, or are you going down, or staying flat? Because if you're going up, but the results are flat, that's okay. Trust the trajectory. If you're taking in more money than you're spending, that's great. If you are growing more than you're shrinking, that's great. If you're moving more than you're stopping, that's great. Look at your trajectory, not your current results. Because your current results don't dictate where you're going to be in a month, a year, a decade. And I find that really important, to never pay too much attention to right now's results. Pay much more attention to the habits and the systems that you're currently using to boost yourself forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, just jumping back off of what you said.
Yeah, and it's like, for instance, what he's talking about, just what Jed's talking about, should I say? We'll go back to when I said I got that CCJ removed. We've been talking about that all year.
Yeah.
Like, when I say from the beginning of the year, I've been talking about that.
Yeah.
We're now in the 10th month of the year.
Yeah.
Right? I remember being on a 2-hour call just trying to find out what it was.
Yeah.
I remember paying £400 just to get the paperwork of what it was. At any point in time, I could say, forget about this.
Yeah.
But it's thinking about the trajectory now. Thinking about why I'm trying to do this.
Yeah.
Remembering why I need this to be removed. It's not supposed to be there, so I want it removed because it's slowing down my life in future aspects.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. It's just that, like I said, loads of money later and precious amounts of time has now come so I can get to the next step. It's not done any change right now, but it's allowed me to commit change to my life.
Keep on growing.
Continue, brother.
Okay, so for me, I'll say my style of leadership is very different. I think I come across a bit more of a laid-back leader.
The thinker.
And there are a couple of examples of this that I would have pulled out in that.
The brains.
Early one.
Sorry, bro. Please.
An early
So
one was when I went to an assessment centre for the job that I'm currently at. We were put in a team-based scenario where we had to determine between one of 6 options, which was the best. And my background, this was a kind of like an accountancy numbers game, and this is not an area that I was particularly experienced in. So I wanted to make sure that I was coordinating everyone effectively, because ultimately you've got to come up with an answer within this time period, but also to make sure that everyone was collaborating. I was in a room of people that were more knowledgeable than me, and I was aware of that. I had obviously formed my own opinions about things, but I wanted to make sure that we, as a collective, agreed, because that was more important than each of our individual beliefs. So what I said to everyone is that I said, I'm going to keep track of time.
Yeah.
I'm going to make all of our notes on this board so we can visualize it, and then I'm going to ask questions. So I took a step back. I stepped to this board, allowed everyone to talk, and I just listened. I sat there and actively listened and heard everyone. I said, we eliminated a couple, and then we got stuck. And we were stuck for about 5 minutes, choosing between which of these 4 were the best option. It was, let's say, A through D, A, B, C, D. And there was one person would say, "Oh, B is not good because you could lose X amount in this many years," or D is not good because you could lose X amount in this years. C is obviously the best one. Someone will say A is the best one, and I said, "We're doing a lot right now. You all are right in your own aspects, but which one of these is explicitly and obviously the worst option? Let's eliminate that. Let's reduce the amount of things that we need to talk about. Can we collectively, as a group, eliminate one of these? So we've only got to pick between 3, and then from that 3 we then went down to 2, and between those 2 we just did a vote, and that allowed us to pull out 1, which was pulled out to me in my feedback, and they said, because you facilitated that conversation, because you enabled them to make a decision, and you listened to everyone, and you encouraged this collaborative thinking, we were really impressed by that, and that was one of the key reasons why we are giving you this job today, and why we advanced you to the next round. So it's, to be a leader, you don't have to be the loudest, the most vocal, the most knowledgeable. You just have to know, with the people that you're forming this team, how they work and how to make the most out of those people.
Yeah. Creating systems for success,
Yeah.
which is something you excel at. Fantastic. So we're going to go, and thank you so much for all of that. I hope there have been some insights for you guys today. What is your version of leadership? How do you see leadership show up? And what's the best form of leadership you can see? So to finish off, we have our very popular, very entertaining 3 people questions. And I don't know about you, anybody listening, anybody watching, if you've been anywhere online in the past 2, 3, 4 weeks, because all that I've seen on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, everywhere, is Squid Games. The Squid Games. Yes, sir. They've even got like filters where you can look at it and blink to get yourself moving and not moving and stuff. It's crazy. So we're going to jump on that hype train as we have to. So the question is, what 3 people would you take to form a team to get you through to the end of Squid Game? Did you put your hand up, or do you want me to go?
No, you can go.
Okay, so I've got 3 people. I'm ready. I've thought about this. I've kind of cheated because I had some time to think, because I prepared the question. So The first one I'm going to go with, and this one is might come out of left field for some people, but it's a person called Sandy Toksvig.
Okay.
Sandy Toksvig. Sandy Toksvig is an incredible person. Sandy Toksvig currently is the host of QI, which is a show on BBC where they just talk about sometimes weird, wonderful, and obscure things. But she mainly is incredibly clever and has a great personality. And it would be brilliant for Sandy to lead our team, because every game she would see, she would understand at least at basic level the physical requirements, the system needed for success, and how best to utilize the people around her for that success. She's incredibly clever and understands team dynamics. She's the leader that we've all kind of spoken about in the past episode. The second person I would go for is a WWE wrestler under the name of Roman Reigns. Now, anybody who knows Roman Reigns knows he's about 6'5", 6'7". I actually don't know how tall he is, but he's massive. Samoan. He's related to The Rock, to my recollection, or he's in the same wrestling family as The Rock. So he's built very well, incredibly powerful, and also has a flair for some form of charisma, which is always entertaining when you're on a game like that. So we'd have the physical aspect down. And now the last one is going to be a name that I don't think many people have heard, unless we've got a vast number of Pakistani listeners. And this is the Pakistan cricket captain, the men's Pakistan team's cricket captain in the 2000s, and his name is Inzamam ul Haq. Inzamam ul Haq is one of the wisest, wittiest men I've ever seen in my life. He's quite large, and he's not even, to my recollection, physically that well put together. But he was an incredible cricketer, which means he's got great hand-eye coordination, can do all of those kind of games, but also would outwit some of the greatest cricketers of our time. And I remember being at the Oval, which is only about 5-10 minutes from here, cricket ground, watching the Pakistan 11 versus a World 11 at a charity game. Yeah. And it felt like every single Pakistani person in London came to the Oval to watch this game, because I was in the stands, and I was for Team Pakistan. I'm a massive fan of the Pakistani cricket team. And they were all screaming this chant, which goes, Pakistan, Inzamam, Pakistan, Inzamam. If this man can have that kind of leadership, that level of control over the fans, I would love to see what he could do in a room full of 100 people all fighting for their lives.
Okay.
So that's my team. Who's up next? Who thinks they got this?
This time?
This time.
Alright, cool. So mine, because I'm so happy you said WWE wrestler, because now I can go fictional. So
Roman Reigns is a real person.
I'm going fictional. You said WWE. So
Roman Reigns, WWE is real.
I'm going fictional. So I'm going straight with Harry Potter.
What? You can't do that.
Why Harry Potter? Do you mean Daniel Radcliffe?
Yeah.
We gotta have powers in this game.
Yeah, that's just
He doesn't need to have powers. Yeah, because at the end of the day, even without spells, that man knows how to survive. Yeah,
that's
true.
That's
You're
a
right.
good point.
You're right.
He knows how to survive.
You're right.
I need survivors in this.
Yeah, you're right.
And going to my second choice, that shows you how much I need survivors in there. I'm going with Frodo Baggins. Because that man also knows how to survive.
You're not wrong. That's just
that man was out there on his own, there surviving, fighting off freaking Gollum.
And they're both quite small, right? So you can eat most of the food and they'll be good as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
But that leads to my third and final choice. Because they're both quite small, I also need LeBron James. Because that man knows how to compete, and he will make sure we win every game. Right? He knows, even if we don't win the middle game, he knows we got to win the final, no matter what. Right? So that's my three. Very short and simple. We're going to win. We're getting that money, and we're going home.
I love that. I genuinely thought my list was the most far out there list possible. The host of QI, a WWE wrestler, and the Pakistani cricket team captain from the 2010s. You came with Harry Potter, Frodo Baggins, and LeBron James. That list is a list I never thought I'd hear in my life. I never thought I'd hear that accumulation of people back to back to back. But that's what we do on this show. We give you guys crazy lists.
Exactly.
If nothing else, you get crazy lists.
Because you mentioned like we're playing red light, green light, right? And them two running, like Frodo Baggins and like Harry Potter running, they're both short. Like just get through. Imagine Frodo could put his ring and disappear. Obviously, he can't have powers, but yeah.
You know what though? There was something that come out of red light, green light, which is you can stand behind someone and like you don't have to worry about moving because you're behind someone. Frodo and Harry Potter are both quite small, right? So one of them could jump on LeBron's back, one of them could jump on your back, and you'd quite easily be able to carry them with no problem. Double the success rate. So that's actually strategically quite a good option.
There we go. That's
So-
your time up, bro.
My first person is a person that can calculate many moves ahead. The person that can really get behind the scenes, understand almost instantly what the situation is and how to deal with it. And that is the world chess champion, potentially the greatest chess player of all time, Magnus
Carlsen.
from Norway, who's right now preparing for the World Chess Championships against Jan Nepomniachtchi.
Okay.
This man, like, you can't play any game that he's not gonna already have figured out. He knows the rules before he's been told the rules. He knows how to deal with every situation, and he knows how to counterbalance. On top of that, he is an athlete. That man can play basketball, and you can see he calculates the way it goes into the net. He stays fit, so he stays ready. He's not like the other nerds that play chess. Like,
Wow,
he is
there's nothing wrong with nerds, by the way.
elite.
That's it.
Nothing.
He's a nerd too. I'm a nerd too. He is elite on the board, and he's elite in the court. That's my guy.
Yeah.
The next person, and I was inspired by Fabian here to go with someone who's short in stature, but this person is an athlete. They're also from Oklahoma U, so I keep Jed happy with this one.
Yes, sir.
And that is Kyler Murray.
Yes,
who is
sir.
tearing it up in the NFL this season. He is about 5'10", maybe 5'9", 5'10". He is slinging the rock. He is known as the
Is he trying to
squirrel.
find shots because they beat the
Squirrel,
Rams?
yeah.
the
he is.
squirrel.
Is he trying to
Whoa!
find shots because they beat the Rams?
I
Apparently,
didn't even
Ethan's
know-
firing shots because they beat the Rams.
I'm not even on violence like that today.
Wow.
I'm just
I
on
think he's trying to do
peace.
that.
Listen
peace
to our
and
last
love.
episode for context on the beef between these two American football. Wow.
Let it
Kyler
go.
Murray is
Let it go.
the league MVP right now.
Yeah, he's incredible.
He is.
But yeah, go on.
Don't do that. He is killing it right now.
Listen,
You can be successful, and he can also be successful.
he alright, but yeah.
Okay.
Final
So
person.
this is Kyler Murray, the squirrel, Magnus Carlsen, and then I'm gonna wrap it up with Alex Scott.
I was thinking Alex Scott. That's so interesting.
Alex Scott has gone from strength to strength in the presentation game.
Oh,
An
outrageous.
ex-England footballer, one of the most capped footballers for England, one of the most brilliant people. She backs herself all of the way.
Yeah.
People have tried to really get at her very recently.
Yeah.
And she stands strong, and again, it's just continuing to elevate herself. And that is a person who is incredibly resilient, incredibly loving, and has got an incredible mind. And that's another person I want on my team. All three athletes in their own regard, but also some of the best thinkers.
You know, another reason why I back Alex Scott as well, because Alex Scott really, like you say, has had some attacking in recent times. So one, shows great perseverance. Two, started out in the commentating and punditry game in football, and then was when offered the opportunity to do it for the Olympics, was like, yeah, I got this, no problem. And so with the Squid Games, you're going to have many different games that you come across. You need someone who's got that versatile skill set, and Alex Scott has got that in abundance. So I think that's a great option. Now, what would your team be in Squid Games? We need to know. Let us know. Would they be better than ours? I don't know. I don't know if you could bring them to be better than ours, but we'll find out. Guys, do we have any final words of wisdom? Any final quotes on leadership that you'd like to share? Or just anything that the people deserve to know and hear?
Anyone can be a leader.
Anyone can be a leader.
Why
That's
are we
right.
not in focus?
Ooh. Anyone can be a leader. I like that.
Lead the team that you have, not the team that you want.
Yeah. Say that one more time for us, please.
So lead the team that you have, not the team that you want.
That's actually great. And I'm going to finish with the final quote that I said earlier. Different strokes for different folks at different times. Be a leader in every situation for every type of person at any possible opportunity. Wherever you are, we hope you're happy. We hope you're loving life and you are growing. From us at Talks, we love you. Peace out.